Welcome to a Sunday night edition of Caps and Cards 716. I'm your host, Spuddy J18. I am joined by the usual. Go ahead.
TJ North Shore fitted here. We want to do a little Sunday recap of the football games. We want to talk like a little bit MLB playoff talk. We're just gonna have a fun little banter episode here. Gonna show off some combo wombos. I'm gonna start with the Raiders. Blackout
How you feel, but I'm rocking the Bills right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. I have some Bills stuff planned. I just want to talk about the Raiders because they're a surprise team. Kansas City's in last place now with losing to the Chargers, and the Raiders are in first, 3-0. Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
Al Davis be proud of this team.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm gonna flock to this one from Hat Club.
Obviously, I got mine. Because we gotta say it.
Yeah.
Say it. Hat Club, baby.
Until I find one, then you're not gonna pull that one out again. But this one's cool. This one's Hat Club. I love that metallic in the shield logo. That blacked out metallic in there. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a two-tone Raiders like that.
I have the script somewhere too. It's in one of my hat carriers. It's like a staple in my hat carrier. Just have a Raiders script.
Like I said, there's a bunch of crazy moments this today, like that 66-yarder for the win.
What team was that?
In Lions.
Oh, I don't definitely don't have one of those.
It was the Ravens and Lions. The Ravens kicked a 66-yarder to win it with time expiring, which is a new NFL record. And in halftime at the Jaguars game, they tried a 68-yarder and they missed it, and it was returned, or not the Jaguars, the other team, the Cardinals. So I'm switching to this corduroy Cardinals joint.
Yeah.
Hat Club, green bottom. I love corduroy hats. I don't know about you.
Well, earlier in the day, we were talking at work about I believe it was like a Steelers player hit like a 65-yard field goal way back when.
I think it was George Blanda on the Raiders that had the record for this.
Blandon? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because he played for like fucking forever.
The guy that had half a foot, I thought it was...
That was Biliknikov?
Yeah, this guy had half a foot. It was Dempsey.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. The guy had like, then they banned him because his foot was like square.
He hit a 63-yard field goal back in 1970, which would have been the long-standing record up until like 2014, which is just downright impressive, if you ask me.
A lot of teams don't try those long field goals because it can get returned real easy, like we saw today in that Jaguars game. It can get returned real easy because you get the blockers downfield, and then it's almost like you have your return man back deep just to grab it. I got that Bills scribble.
I need to put on a standing buffalo here because it's going to make more sense in a sec. Well, actually, I'm wearing a standing buffalo. What am I talking about? All right. So today, during the Bills game, a kicking special teams tactic was used that now, do you want to take a stab at what coach would have prompted this? Because this is not a new tactic.
Belichick?
Older.
Flores?
I got to know what year.
Madden, maybe? John Madden?
In Buffalo, we call him Coach. But Marv was actually a coach of the Redskins for
yeah, Marty. I know what you're talking about.
for
Yeah, he was
just 2 years. He was the coach of the Redskins.
they won two Super Bowls with him.
Now the Washington football team.
Yeah, they won 2 Super Bowls with him.
Because of his specialty in special teams, he was more of a he didn't care about he didn't necessarily say that you're not going to win the game on offense or defense, but he always said that his philosophy is that the game is won on special teams. And the kicker from the Redskins, Hutchinson, was actually a Bills 5th or 6th round draft pick 3 or 4 years ago. And Marv does, go to the compound from time to time. And I could almost see Marv teaching him that tactic. So I believe that today's kick was a nod to coach and not to, somebody that was, I give Ron Rivera the nod for calling that play, but coach definitely made that decision. That kid was taught something here, and that's something you're not going to forget, is that special teams does win games.
I wouldn't say special teams can win you games. I'd say they can cost you games. You want your special teams to make plays. The Bills learned that the hard way week 1. You guys had that blocked kick return for a touchdown by the Steelers.
Yeah, but if you can kick the ball off and have your kicker of all people be the one that gains possession, special teams is the most effective and important part of the game.
What was I also going to say? Ripped anybody that played Josh Allen in fantasy this week. He also led the league in yards. He had, I believe, 3 TDs plus a rush TD. He had to have had over like 40, 50 points in most.
And not to sound like that guy, but if you were starting a Bills halfback this week and you didn't start Zach Moss, you had a terrible week.
Guilty. So I meant to flip out the Josh Jacobs was out for the Raiders. So I meant to swap them out, and he went off my bench for 18 points. But I'm currently winning, and I've got Devontae Smith going Monday Night Football against the against them boys defense, which is terrible. So we'll see. Fly, Eagles, fly. I want to see Devontae Smith put up a 30-piece because Jamar Chase had a crazy game against the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger is washed.
Dude, I'm telling you, 20 points from Zach Moss, that's a good game, especially with what Josh Allen put up, probably around 40 points in fantasy total.
Well, Zach Moss is a good number 2 punch because, as you know, in my league, I have Derrick Henry as my number 1 running back.
So, I don't know, run the numbers this week. I texted everybody I knew that had Zach Moss, and I said, you have my word, play Zach Moss.
Well, he's went off since last week because didn't his mother pass away or something?
Yeah, but the thing was, I always tell everybody the opposite of preseason is what they do in the season. And Singletary was the lead back in preseason. He had some big rushes. He had a big sort of week 1 with a couple long runs. And then we transitioned to Zach Moss. So obviously, I think it's going to be a Moss game here on out.
Well, the problem with Singletary is Singletary's small. Moss is a little bit more of a bruiser. So, of course, they're going to go with Moss.
I hate to break that stat to you. Moss is like 2 inches taller, but he's like 40 pounds heavier.
No, but like the style of back they are.
Yeah, it's funny, but they're still not like the big guy.
No, but like the type of running back he is. He's a guy that he's going to go up the middle and just punch through.
He reminds me of James Starks and less of LeGarrette Blount.
I would say Singletary reminds me more of like a Le'Veon Bell type of guy where he's waiting and he wants the guy to miss so he can find an open hole and just make you pay.
I wish he was like Le'Veon Bell.
Just needs to develop a little bit more.
when they were drafting him, his draft card said shows signs of being like Shady McCoy. And I'm like, so good for 3 or 4 years and then non-existent.
Well, no, he was relevant with the Eagles once you guys traded him, and then he was relevant.
No, he went straight to the Chiefs.
No, he didn't. He was with
Shit.
he went from Eagle. Didn't the Eagles draft him?
Yeah, we got him from the Eagles. And then he went to the Chiefs and won the Super Bowl, and then he just won the Super Bowl again with the Bucks.
He didn't win with the Chiefs.
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Back-to-back Super Bowl champ.
Oh,
Shady
yeah.
McCoy.
He had no fucking. He wasn't like a big part in any of those games.
Yeah, but he was just on the roster.
Speaking of Buccaneers, they got their ass handed to them in SoFi. Brady couldn't. There was no hard count. The stadium was loud. You could tell it was bothering him. He couldn't run the offense, and they got knocked off from being undefeated. So Brady won't have an undefeated season.
Well, I still think it's impossible to run an undefeated season in this league, especially now being a 17-week format or 17-game format, 18 weeks.
Heard what Urban Meyer had to say to the Denver head coach after the game, after a game they played and the Denver beat them. He goes, "It's like playing Alabama every week." He's like, "It's like playing Alabama every week, man." He goes, "Anybody's capable of beating anybody in this league."
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders did win in overtime, but I think the game that stood out marginally for me was the Broncos 26-0 on the Jets, because we're only a week or two away from playing them.
Yeah, Jets are in a constant rebuild. They're going to be another rebuild, I believe. They're going to ruin some other kid's career next year in the draft.
And it's not just an SEC problem; it's a New York Jets problem.
Well, it doesn't. The last good quarterback I can remember them having was Josh McCown, and he wasn't great. He was just decent enough to keep you in the ball game.
We don't really see the Jets till the middle of the season, so I mean, let's see.
Hopefully, they don't get their shit together.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 week 9 or 10.
Yeah, Jets are.
We don't see him till November 14th and then January 9th.
Want to speak about the Boston College game yesterday. They beat Mizzou, their first SEC team they've beaten since 2007 when they had Matt Ryan. They're 4-0. Clemson lost, so Clemson has 2 losses now. So guess who's leading the ACC?
BC.
Yep.
I believe that UB is leading the MAC, if I'm not mistaken.
Fly, Eagles, fly. If anybody knows, I'm not cheering for the Philly Eagles. It's the.
I gotta check. I know UB beat the.
No, I can't wait. I'm hoping Boston College can keep it up because they always start real hot like this. And then usually when they hit that SEC team, that's when the season goes downhill.
Okay, so Buffalo is tied with Bowling Green for first in the MAC East.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like Boston College always gets it rolling, and then they hit a wall with that SEC team, and then they don't do anything after that.
Hey, I mean, we had to play Penn State or Nebraska. And then Bowling Green had to play. They played Minnesota this week, but they played Tennessee or something.
Yeah, Minnesota was ranked. The Gophers.
They played Tennessee week 1 and lost 38-6, but it still wasn't like an Ohio State beating or like when UB played Boise with RG3. Oh, fuck! Was it not 72-6 or something?
Crazy college score this week was Pitt had a 77-0 game. They scored a school record in points and yards. The quarterback had 700 and something yards on the ground through the air.
Yeah. Well, Ohio State got to play Akron this week, 59-7.
Like I said, a lot of these college games are one side. Alabama was pretty bad too. It was like 63-3 or something. They were
But
playing
then,
Southern
but then you
Miss.
got Army beating Miami of Ohio, and Miami of Ohio is still a decent, usually middle of the road team.
I'd say Army just controls the game though. That's what they do. They've always done. They ground pound. They hand the ball off and they control the clock. So in the Army, when they play, whenever someone plays Army, there's only ever really 3 possessions apiece in the game because they run the ball so much.
Not only that, but like Buffalo had a couple games last year where they had teams that only got 2 or 3 total yards on 60 carry and they ended up with an average of 0.3 yards per carry. There were a couple games where they had teams with negative yardage, and their team was so good, and then we got 4 games out of it, 5 games out of it.
Yeah, this head's starting to grow on me, man. The logos. I thought it'd be 250.
That's a lot of work. I do have a couple of those style hats from the minor league baseball AAA All-Star game, where it's got all 30 minor league AAA teams on it. And then like the logo in front is I have the one from Pawtucket. I know I do. It's a Velcro back. But in Pawtucket, I only allowed one player to sign my hat, and it was Ernie Young at the time, because he was like the home run favorite in Buffalo. He was just a guy that whenever you needed a home run, that he would just do it. And he was my guy. And when I got in line, he was like surprised to see me there. And he was like, "Hey, I know you from home." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here." And he was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm at the game."
Following you.
Yeah. Yeah, I came to see you.
What was it? Circle back to the NFL. I wanted to talk about Justin Fields' first career start.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
He was sacked 8 times by the Browns. What the hell? Myles Garrett from the Browns set a new franchise record for most sacks in a game for Browns. Justin Fields did not look happy. The NFL definitely isn't slow.
Not as slow as his brain was probably working.
He got the crap kicked out of him. It wasn't, although the NFL record was from like the 50s or 40s. A guy got sacked 11 times in his NFL debut. So that's what I was watching that game a little bit, and I was kind of hoping they get him a few more times, but they didn't. Let's see another historic game today. Let's see a sack record.
Well, let's see here. Games I kind of tuned into briefly. The only other thing I heard, I heard the score of the Jets at halftime. They briefly touched on the Patriots. You know, in our markets, yeah, obviously we are not fed the too much about other divisions. They talk about it a lot if the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots lose. And we play the entire NFC East this year. So that's a hot topic.
Yeah, some revenge games for you guys.
Hopefully some big ones, because well, next week is a revenge game against Tyrod Taylor. I mean, I wouldn't really call it.
I mean, Houston, I don't think he's playing for Houston. I think he's still out. He's still going to be out. So,
well, then we'll have to play Tom Savage or some guy from the XFL.
You'll be playing Dan Mills.
Dan Mills, yeah.
He has the crackhead that has like the long neck. It looks like he's like.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Mayfield seeing some success again in the NFL. So it wasn't like a 1-year wonder. The Browns looking good. I like those throwbacks too they had. I just wish they weren't white.
For the Browns?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
That's what they wore today against the Bears.
See, at my post at the jail, I didn't have a TV for anything, so I was just listening to post game and hearing about the NFC East and really what yeah, big Mayday out there.
I want to see him when he comes to Foxborough. I want to go to that game real bad. I'll be wearing this. I'm going to be on the side. I'll be on the Brown sideline because it's cheaper. Foxborough to be on the other team's sideline. Maybe I can get Mayfield or someone to. Hey.
I'm always trying to do that. You know how I do it. I take a top 70 pack with me. I stuff all the cards of all the players or whatever I think I can get in it. And
Well,
then
I would wear this jersey and then I'd probably bring that freaking Manziel because I'd be waving the Manziel jersey. Because then when they see that I have a Manziel jersey, they're like, this kid's nuts.
Hell yeah.
Money Manziel.
Money. I actually bought the shirt that says Johnny Money.
I mean, he was a transcendent player in college at Texas A&M. It just his play style didn't translate to the NFL because they realized he's going to roll out right and he's going to try to run. So all you got to do is that's what the problem Mayfield first was when he first came up. He couldn't read defenses, but Mayfield actually put in the work to start learning defenses.
Right.
Money Manziel was too busy coked out with some strippers in Vegas.
Yeah. I want to come to Cleveland. Nobody wants to come to Cleveland, I promise.
I have a question for you. If Mayfield were to win a Super Bowl, would he be bigger than LeBron in Cleveland? Because Ohio's football first.
If he doesn't leave the team ever, yes.
If they win a Super Bowl, if the Browns somehow were to win a Super Bowl, I think Mayfield gets that contract. He gets whatever the fuck he wants. We keep him in Cleveland because they let LeBron go twice.
They don't. So the way I see it in Cleveland, and I've been to Cleveland a bunch of times for many games, baseball included. I've been to basketball games. I do have a mini bobblehead of Drew Gooden. And my dad was like, yeah, we're going to go see LeBron. And I was like, who? And he just, he talked about all the hype and shit that you would hear on TV. And I not having ESPN growing up, kind of you kind of just heard it from word of mouth. You just had this
I remember LeBron.
You had to go see it,
he was in that historic 03 draft. That big historic 03 draft, and he came in and he was like the guy. He got drafted by the team that he was from, the city he was from.
And we all heard that story, yeah. We were hearing about him.
Those early Cavs teams sucked that he was on. He was the only option. And he used to come and play Boston quite a bit. It was a big rivalry later on. We sent LeBron to Miami because we made him scared of our little super team with Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Kendrick Perkins. And then LeBron had the decision where he goes, I can't win in Cleveland, so I'm going to go to Miami.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he did create the super team, but I mean, the way the Lakers are moving right now, I still think the East is getting very weak. No matter what happens in the East, if the Bucks retain their entire team, and the Nets too, I mean, those are your instant superpowers. Any game, each team right now, like the Bucks, the Nets, and I don't even know the whole division thing and how it lines up, but I can tell you from just knowing what I know that those teams should have 60 plus win seasons and break tons of records. It shouldn't be fair. That's the only game they should lose is maybe
traditionally with basketball, the East has always been weaker than the West because the West had Lakers, the Spurs, traditionally that were really good.
Yeah, but look at all the phone calls LeBron is making to fucking Anthony Davis, and now the kid in Philly doesn't want to play in Philly no more. And Philly just got after 6 fucking draft number 1s in a row, now the kids are unhappy. They just started making the playoffs again.
They've been a couple years now. They had a few different head coaches. Ben Simmons doesn't like Philly because of the market that he's in and how critical they are of him. Because the fans in Philly are very passionate. They're not like, it's like being in a market like Boston or Buffalo for the Bills. You're going to get criticized if you don't live up to the expectations.
Let me put it this way though.
He wants to go to LA where they don't give, where most of the fans are just bandwagon fans, and they're not going to critique his. They're not going to say, "Hey Ben, your jerseys are on a discount rack, and they're discounted higher than your free throw percentage, your career free throw percentage."
I can tell you one thing: if they had a guy like me going and I had a press pass, I would be the first one to ask him that. You know, I cannot stand for guys just want to leave markets. If he goes to LA, I'm gonna be salty on the level of he left a good team just to go to LA.
He's not going to get traded to the Lakers. Philly will let him sit out and just pay him before.
If he goes anywhere, I hope it's Portland. Like trade him to the fucking north. I hope Vancouver gets a team next so they could trade him to fucking Vancouver and just sit in the fucking cold, just sitting there.
That's my biggest problem with the modern NBA is all this tampering with players, and all these players aren't happy. They'll sit out and they'll go wherever they want to go. They run the league more than the owners and the fans do and everything else.
I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with the. You shouldn't have a political agenda just to play the game. You are a player first, and you shouldn't. Yeah, you should have a voice, like in a personality, but you shouldn't be running political agendas just to, play basketball and shoot in a hoop, man.
Oh no, I felt that their message was pretty positive towards their goal. They wanted people to go out and vote. They didn't tell you to go vote.
Oh yeah.
They said go out and vote. I supported that.
I mean, when they go to China and stuff, though, that's when
they fired that GM from Houston a few years ago because he commented about the Hong Kong protests, and China was like, no, be gone. We'll pull all your NBA crap from our market, and their market's even bigger than the U.S. for the NBA. China, they want to get into China because there's more people. And if they do,
when LeBron says something about the kids that make his shoes or something, that was a big deal. And that's my problem, is that he doesn't know when to shut up sometimes, because I feel that his market could be a lot bigger if he just shut up sometimes. If he just was LeBron, if he just, I
mean, he had a movie. He's launching his movie career. He's got a podcast series now going. He's planning for post basketball life, I would say.
But if you're the star player of your team and somebody asks you for a few words, go Lakers and keep it moving. Like
that's just not how it is in the NBA. Those players like to complain.
Like if hockey was like that, I don't think I'd like it as much.
That's why I don't follow modern basketball. The only other thing that bothers me with modern basketball is all the analytics in basketball ruin the game. All the 3-pointers they take, they don't take the 2. They don't take all the easy fouls. They're not even allowed to trash talk anymore. If KG played in this era, KG would get thrown out every other night.
Dude, him and what was I posted a Shaq shoot? Oh, Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp wouldn't survive this league.
Kevin Garnett used to made his own teammate cry.
Iverson, come on.
Well, Iverson was the trailblazer for the independent player that didn't give a frick about the commissioner or anything like that. He started with the do-rags and the tattoos and stuff.
Yeah, but dude, he would have told the man to fuck off and then go play a game, drop 60 on a motherfucker, go to the press conference and still keep it going.
No, he already did that. He was like, remember the infamous practice thing? He goes, We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
I wish I had that up here right now.
Yeah, I need to hit on that hat. I want someone else to drop that hat. Because I got a few Iversons. I know I gave you an Iverson when you came here from Boston. Although it needs a little bit of work.
I'm still considering buying a authentic.
The Mitchell and Ness ones sell pretty cheap on eBay if you do go that route. I would go with a Mitchell and Ness. Just send me the screenshot so I can make sure it's an actual Mitchell and Ness. Just make sure you don't pick. You don't want to buy from a seller on eBay that has stock images.
Yeah.
More often than not, they're selling a fake. You want to see close-up pictures of the jock tag, close-up pictures of everything.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I said, I'm overall excited for hockey. I'm not so much excited for basketball. Although Jason Tatum is still very good. I don't think the Celtics will be very good.
I'm still excited for the Bucks that Freak became a partial owner of the clinching division NL Central clinching champions, the Crew, the Brewers.
The Cardinals still haven't lost yet.
Yeah, but we clinched the division, so they can only get a wild card.
Yeah, but it's October, so a one-game playoff, still a one-game playoff. They can.
I saw the sweater today. It says, anything can happen in October, and then there's Brewer October season. Like,
I'd love to see what some of the breweries in Milwaukee are coming up with now. They must be coming up with some interesting beers for the Brewers playoff run.
It's all about the names. I want to know the names. I need somebody to get me some names of I
mean, Wisconsin has some of the best beer anyway, the best cheese in America.
Ryan Braun Stout.
Because of all those German immigrants that moved to that area, brought all that stuff with them.
All right, let's play with a few then. Like Ryan Braun Stout, like something sturdy.
Josh Hader, something like you do something like ice, like something like ice in his veins or something like that.
Josh Hader. Okay, all right. So I feel like Hader would get, and he's popular enough, having the flow. I think he would get like a seltzer contract.
Easily one of the worst trades in baseball. They traded Josh Hader. The Astros traded Josh Hader for Carlos Gomez. That's up there with the Tatis trade for James Shields.
Not one of the worst trades for the Astros. I don't have my trash can up here to bang on. Sorry. The Tatis trade was only bad for the White Sox. All right. I mean, like every time I pull a Drew Rasmussen card, I sit here and I'm just like, he was a solid pitcher. And they traded him and Fireizer for Willie Adames in a bullpen piece. And I have to think to myself, if we kept a starting pitcher in the rotation, but the rotation is solid.
The only thing that's speculative for the Brewers, I would say, is their bridge from their, like, they have those two relievers, and they have Sutter and they have Hader. But that seventh inning in that bridge, so if your starter doesn't go 6 or 7 innings, whoever comes out for the 6th and 7th, that's where you can get at them. If you get the pitch count up on, out on Woodruff or Corbin Burns or
Freddie Peralta pitched today.
Or Peralta. If you get the pitch count up, they don't have that bridge piece.
I can tell you for a fact that it's still not as bad as the Matt Garza era. Garza used to throw 50, 60 pitches in the first, second inning.
Well, the last pitcher for the last time the Brewers made the playoffs was, prior to that 18 when they made the NLCS against the not against the Dodgers. Then Dodgers lose to the Red Sox. But prior to that was like CC Sabathia, you guys traded for at the deadline. And he carried that team on his back.
From the Indians we got him from.
They only played half a season with you guys, and then he went to New York.
Just unbelievable, honestly. He had a Cy Young year that year. Like, it's just been good baseball. Like, that's why I just there's players like CC were the reason I followed them to Milwaukee and just stayed there, you know.
DC was always a guy I respected a lot, even being a Red Sox fan growing up.
And he had a lot of fun playing.
Just because it was fiery competitiveness, and he was also nice to the fans.
And one of my favorite moments, when CC started gaining a lot of weight when he was in New York, and one of the announcers was doing this thing where CC would put his hands across his stomach like this, and he'd say, well, it looks like CC gained quite a bit of weight there. He's just practicing for when he gets to his stomach out this far. But they actually let him fire back at the announcer. They gave him a headset, and they're like, yeah, we're in the dugout. We're talking to CC Sabathia. We said this, and they let CC talk back to the announcers on TV. He's like, oh, you think this is a game? And he took some shots back.
Do you think the Yankees will fire Aaron Boone if they lose in the wild card round?
If they lose in the wild card, absolutely.
I think I'd love, not as a Red Sox fan, I would, as a baseball fan, I'd love to see CC come in and be the next Yankees manager if they do fire Aaron Boone, just because CC would be quite a good manager, I believe. Just like Alex Cora was for the Red Sox, a former player.
I think it's going to be younger than CC. CC is still kind of like, he's on that. CC was a Bison for a little while. So like he was part of that whole, like that Indians 25 years of greatness. And I don't believe it's going to be someone that's like even that old, really. I think it's going to be somebody who's like fresh out of the game.
I think they're sick of the analytics stuff, because that's why the Yankees are so like one-sided now. They have a bunch of power hitters. They strike out a ton. You want like an old head. If I were a Yankee fan, I'd want an old head, someone who's been around the game for a while.
Let me throw one out there. Johnny Damon.
He just got a DUI in Florida.
But he played small ball, he was about the fucking.
I don't think he would be the manager in New York. I think you could see him as the Rays manager or the Red Sox, working in the Red Sox organization before he was in New York.
Even being like without the DUI.
No, even before that, just because of the way he was treated by New York. The fans kind of turned on him pretty quick. He was a 2009 champion. Brett Gardner would be another one that if he retires, I'd like to see.
See Gardner being a player coach before I see him retiring full time.
I could see him making that transition where the Yankees go, we're going to go younger. We're going to re-sign Hicks. But we want to keep you on as our bench coach for a year, because you're our most tenured player, and we respect you and we want your opinion on stuff.
Like when I look at the Blue Jays,
just because he's not getting the playing time because they want to DH Luke Voigt, so they have to put Stanton in the outfield with Judge and.
Let's do some on-field analytics, and you're talking about Frazier.
Yeah. When
I look at the Blue Jays, they have Sandy Alomar as their fucking first base coach. At the AAA level, they have Devin White. 2 World Series champions are hitting coaches and first base coaches. What are the Yankees doing? They don't have that kind of depth at AAA.
The Braves bench coach is really good too in AAA.
That like just the Phillies guy, that manager had trouble kind of like controlling his team, being younger.
Gabe Kapler?
Kapler, yep.
That's why they brought in Girardi. He's an old head. He's a guy that just takes control of the team.
I got a story about Gabe Kapler. And I was a youngin'. I wasn't like a teenager yet. I was like 10, 11 years old at the most. We go to the Bison's game. Kapler is slated as the leadoff hitter for Pawtucket. And to deep center in our stadium, it's 455. And he basically does the Babe Ruth. Like he calls his shot and just fucking he barely even takes a practice swing. He just kind of lines in and he's batting from the right side. And the first ball hits the scoreboard. One swing, didn't even look the pitch. He might have took the first pitch, but after that, he swung at every first pitch that he saw. The first one hit the scoreboard. The second time he came up, it was over the scoreboard. And the third time he came up, I saw it hit the parking garage.
Like I'd say, Kapler's probably going to be manager of the year, managing that Giants team now.
He was the most dynamic player that, like, in personality is very animated. He was very...
And he'll forever be loved in Boston because he was part of that 2004 team that broke the curse against the Cardinals.
The only thing, like, Counsell right now is the youngest manager in the game that's making it. That's what makes it fun. That's what he's making baseball like a hybrid. He's got that dynamic where he says, guys, we don't need to just get home runs. You know, you can walk in, you can get a hit.
I just see the Yankees going more traditional because that's their style of manager. I see them going for someone old head who's going to be like, yeah, fuck this analytics stuff.
Yeah,
We'll listen to it for a little bit, but we can't just be striking out a ton. Aaron Judge, you got to figure this out.
I mean, Stanton, I mean, between Judge and Stanton, they strike out more than 70% of the league.
And now having Joey Gallo in that outfield too, he strikes out a ton too. And then the fact that the Yankees didn't have left-handers till this trade deadline, lefties in the matchup. In Yankee Stadium, every championship, even as a Red Sox fan, I know this, most championship teams for the Yankees had a lefty in the lineup. He was that short porch and right. He wanted a couple power back lefties because they can pull right down the line, smoke at right field for an easy home run.
So here's what Google says: who could be the next manager of the Yankees? Don Mattingly.
You'd have to leave the Marlins first,
Which he would have to break his relationship with Jeter.
I don't see that happening because the Marlins have a lot of upside. Their pitching staff's starting to look good. Their prospects are starting to bear a little more fruit.
I'm just giving you the rundown. I don't know who Joe Espada is, but I know he has a little bit of history between the Astros and them. Might have. He's like a backup catcher or something.
You say I think CC would be a really good manager for the Yankees.
Man, I don't recognize this guy either. Oh my God. It just said Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, he's blacklisted from baseball because he was part of that Astros cheating scandal.
And it says, oh boy, fingers crossed.
Well, I think he wouldn't be loved in New York just because he was part of that cheating team and they beat the Yankees.
Yeah, it says fingers crossed. I mean, if Alex Cora is in and AJ Hinch comes back, why not?
Because he was the leader of that ring, supposedly. The MLB closed all this off. Like 15 years from now, they're going to release all this stuff. They didn't want it to be a black mark on baseball right now, but like someone's going to write a book.
Yeah.
And then it's going to come out. Just like how Ortiz thing with Bobby Valentine. You heard there was issues in the dugout between Ortiz and the vets and the Red Sox and Bobby Valentine when we had him as our manager here.
I don't know. I like the Mattingly.
I just don't see him leaving the Marlins because they're finally starting to tick a little bit more up. Especially if Sixto comes back next year, their pitching staff, their starting pitching staff at least, is pretty stacked.
All right. Are you familiar with the Yes Network personalities?
Yeah, Dave Cohn and
Yeah, Dave Cohn. How about Dave Cohn?
I like Dave Cohn. He's a great Yankees legend for you guys. He's
Well, you
also
don't have to say you guys. I'm throwing shit out there.
Dave Cohn.
What's gonna stick for you?
I do love Dave Cohn when calling a game. When I do watch I watch if I'm going to watch a game that the Yankees are playing, I'll watch Yes Network because the commentary from the Yankees side is so much better than some of the other announcers.
All right. So do
Dave
you
Cohn will start talking about
see
those '90s teams.
he's got no experience, but he's got good analytic skills. What do you see other than the fact that he was a good pitcher?
He knows how to cheat. He even admitted it. He said, "We used to put doctored stuff on the baseballs."
I mean, he was.
He's like, when it was cold out, we put pine tar on our hands. He goes, it was basically like the spider attack shit they're talking about now. I remember he got in trouble for that in Yes Network because he said like in '96 and '99 when he was with the Yankees.
Well, series years.
No, he goes in October. It was when it got cold in New York. All the players had stuff on their arms and stuff like that. He goes, it was just like it was keep you warm. But he goes, I'm not lying to you folks. He gave my curveball a little more break. He's like, so like,
but Kevin Cashman has shown us that he's put guys out there that have no manager experience. I mean, Aaron Boone.
Yeah, the only reason I think he's the manager is because he hit that big home run off the Red Sox.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove that you could be a good manager.
He's not a good manager though, because the Yankees haven't.
Yeah.
He inherited a good team from Girardi.
The only other good
hasn't been able to punch through.
This is the only other good suggestion I like is Phil Nevin, who's already the third base coach. Do you make him the GM?
I think definitely Cashman was a little bit out of touch with some of the contracts. Like taking on Stanton's contract wasn't a good one. But New York's such a big market that it doesn't matter how far over the salary cap they are, just like the Dodgers. They can just bury contracts like that.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what part of makes it the evil empire.
Council was the fastest manager to 500 wins this year. And I'm trying to see what his age is. He is 51.
But like I said, these former players, managers all caught on because of guys like Craig Counsell, Alex Cora started coming back around again just because they've been around the game so long. They know teams and they know play styles.
I think it's just I've talked about like the 2001 World Series with the Diamondbacks. I remember sitting on my couch watching every single moment of this World Series. Mark Grace hitting what I believe it was Mark Grace and Luis Gonzalez and Randy Johnson and the such great players and personalities just everywhere.
Schilling manned up and came out of the bullpen a couple times for that thing to keep them. I remember that game 7. I think it was Randy Johnson. Then they had Kurt Schilling come out of the bullpen.
That was like a Garrett Cole moment where I believe Garrett Cole should have come out of the bullpen in that ALCS last year.
Well, the Astros should have probably put Garrett Cole in after Greinke, and they probably would have beaten the Nationals in Game 7 because they had a lead.
Oh, yeah, the Astros. Yeah, the Astros and that, excuse me. Not the
Yankees. That was like that Game 7 of the World Series. They had a 2-run lead. Then they brought some fucking chump reliever in and he gave up the game. Cowie Hendrick and them. But they should either have left Greinke in to finish the inning.
It was like a Doolittle moment, but Sean Doolittle finished off the Astros.
No, it was Corbin, not Corbin. What the hell?
Patrick Corbin.
Patrick Corbin came out in the bullpen in that game.
He's a starter from Syracuse, New York.
He came out as a reliever in that game, Game 7, after they took the lead, and he finished the game in Game 7 against the Astros.
And really, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I swear Mark Grace hit a game-winning double in 2001 in Game 7, and that was the craziest shit. I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, and I was going fucking ballistic.
Off the greatest closer in baseball history, Mariano Rivera. More people have walked on the moon than scored on Mo in the postseason.
But that was it.
The Sandman will be one of my favorite players just because he blew that save in Boston in 2004.
It's just moments like that.
Like, yeah, I'd ask if I ever get a chance to go to a signing where he's signing in person. I'd ask him as a Red Sox fan, can you write blown save Game 4, ALCS or game?
What will this inscription cost me? I would
blown
pay
save
it.
Game 4, just because. Hey, you're getting the Red Sox fan to get a signed picture from you. So it's
Like,
jokes to me.
like on that Impractical Jokers where they had Tino Martinez signing autographs, and one of the guys had to rip up the autographs as part of his punishment. He would he would wait until the person had met them, and then he would rip it up.
There's certain things that would be like it's all fun and good. Like baseball is like just like a
Obviously, they replaced him. Disclaimer.
no, but like obviously like brotherhood, like brother in baseball. I'm sure he'd get a kick out of that. He probably wouldn't sign it that way just because he wouldn't want that out there, but he'd probably start laughing.
So I have a couple joke sign stuff because I would buy a couple once I got a little older, and some of the guys around here, I learned, like, hey, they're normal people too. They're not just hockey players or baseball players. So I have a Jay. Are you familiar with Jay McKee?
Nope.
He's part of the Instigators, part of the Sabres broadcast crew. So he was a big fighter right after Rob Ray. And part of, he actually ended up fighting Ray Emery for, he saved Marty Biron in the 06 playoffs from Ray Emery. Also, RIP Ray Emery.
Like that, sadly, with the NHL stuff growing up, with all the lockouts and stuff, I wasn't a big fan until 2011.
So
Vancouver.
Here's what he wrote for me. He wrote, "I have kung fu fists." And he was laughing about it. Like we were just hanging out. We were just two guys hanging out. And I was like, yeah, I was young, but he wasn't afraid to joke with me and have a good time.
I'm definitely excited for this NHL season. This will be the first year I'm going to be like fully following hockey, just more than just the Bruins. Like I said, I'm going to probably buy center ice this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. Walter just texted me and said, Abstract Walt, he just texted me and he said, I dropped Zach Moss last week and forgot to pick him back up.
He had a good week last week too, because I started him last week.
So,
like I said, you told me to draft him when he was on the board and available. You were like, yeah, get him. I was like, I knew that offense was going to be potent with the Bills, so I wanted a Bills player. I wanted Josh Allen, but I didn't get Josh Allen. I got Kyler Murray. I'm happy.
Especially if they keep pressing Diggs and Dawson Knox like that, Beasley and Sanders are going to be open like a motherfucker.
The only thing you have to worry about with Beasley, though, is because he's not vaccinated.
Then we got Sanders.
No, but what I'm saying is, players aren't vaccinated. They can, if they have an outbreak, because their quarterback isn't vaccinated either, Josh Allen, I believe, it could be a big issue for the Bills.
Yeah. Well,
it is a personal decision, though, so I'm not.
We will get more into that. Yeah. We got a pretty big Monday night game, NFC East, Giants, Eagles.
Or Cowboys, Eagles.
Excuse me.
I want to see them boys lose.
I think it's going to be the Eagles as well. So we're both for the Eagles. I think that's going to be a wrap for us, unless you got anything else.
No, I feel good.
I feel
Ready
good
to
about
roll.
it too. Brew Crew, we are the champs. NL Central, let's go.
They're coming for the Giants, Dodgers.
We're coming for you. Yeah, so do it with me. Peace, love, and caps. Good night.